So I recently went ahead and did, I'm starting anyway, a wire tuck process on my FD. Specifically it's for a right-hand drive. I will be doing on a left-hand drive one soon to see what the differences are, but for the most part it should be the same. So what I did was I started on the opposite side, so I was without the fuse box, and I pulled the front harness out from in the wheel well. Pulled it out, all the way up to here. So I left all of this still attached, because you'll need to pull it out here. And basically what you're doing is you're taking it from where it normally runs under here, and then just flipping it onto the other side in the front. But there is a few hang-ups with doing that. For starters, this is my rebar. It's chopped off as it would line up here. It's chopped off there and there at the ends. So I don't have that whole wing piece to stick out here and be in my way. Also, that little front piece is cut out for bumper I'm using, so it doesn't poke through. But in the beginning, if you move the front harness up above the frame rail here, which everybody should do to avoid chafing, but it's right above here, and I ran the zip ties through here, and there's a little slot on the bottom here that it can come up through. Then as far as the 4 fan relays that mount there, I tucked them all up right here. Also, I did fit the fenders in the bumper. There are no clearance issues. Everything is out of the way of everything else. But I put all 4 relays here. They tucked up very, very nicely. The way I did it was I zip tied 2 together, right, in pairs, and then I zip tied the 2 of them to the actual frame. There's some little holes down there. You'll see what you need to use. And then as far as routing the front harness, I routed it under the lowest mount point here that attaches the bumper and fender together. There's this Teflon plastic whatever piece inside of the harness from where it naturally curves down in here and wraps into the wheel well. What I did was I took the tape off, and then I moved that to here, and it allowed me to flex the harness the way I wanted to, and I put that there, so that's for chafe protection. I don't have to worry about that ever going through. Also the wires for the fans, I routed through that hole there, right under the headlight. I don't have the pop-up, so that's why I have all this real estate in here to work with. Routed through this hole here, and it just comes out the back, and you'll be able to know what to do after that. The headlight plug is here. It's just kind of dangling down. I'm going to run that up later. Oil coolers are ran the way they're ran. You might not have the same oil coolers I have. And all the other plugs that go through here, you just kind of you can make whatever decision you want. But what I did is I just laid them down and then zip tied them so they were out of the way. And that's what worked for me. And as far as routing the harness, I ran it through the front here. This is more Teflon type coil stuff for more chafe protection against the corner there. Then the ground block is in the normal location. The fuse box, I flipped over to the other side, and I shared this mount point here with the hood latch, and this is perfect position. You can't get it open once the rebar is on, but if you're not using a rebar, that's no problem. But you should be able to get it open with just the bumper on, without the rebar. But that's the best location. I mean, realistically, how often do you really need to go in here? You know, and if you do, then in my case anyway, it's not that big of a deal to take the bumper off. But I have it routed that way, and then on the bottom here, I have everything, all the wires and stuff tucked up and out of the way as best I can. My 2 fan plugs are here, and I have the extension harness because I'm using a V-mount. This is going to route along the side here, and then poop to the fans. You won't see that. This is the harness for our Magic headlights that I have. I did all this afterwards. I wanted this to be its own entity. I didn't want to have it loomed up with everything else. And there's a bunch of plastic bracket type deals inside of the front harness that you'll see once you actually take it apart. Take all that stuff out so that you can manipulate the harness the way you need to, and then it'll leave a lot of exposed wires, but you just loom it and tape it, and then it'll be fine. And then you just mount it all along the front here, and then the big part, the fuse boxes, it's not as messy as the camera's making it look. It's actually organized. It just makes it look a little crazy, but the way I did this was this fuse box here is going to be mounted exactly where it sits, right on the side there like that. I will make a little bracket there, and it's going to sit just like that. The big fuse box, the stud here that would normally be used for the oil cooler, is what I'm going to use. I'm going to put that onto that stud, and I'm going to make a little bracket so it mounts outwards like that. So instead of it being straight up like that, I'm going to have it point outwards like that, because this one, you do need to access this one every so often, so I don't want to make that difficult for myself. Then the wire that goes from this fuse box to this fuse box, I'm making brand new. I had a 4-gauge wire. I'm going to make a new one, because the factory one isn't too long, and 2, why not? Just make a new one. Diagnosis box is kind of just sitting here. It's zip tied, it's secured, but it's just kind of sitting there. Let's see, my power wire, because my battery is relocated to the inside, is ran across the side here. The charge harness I took completely apart, and what I'm doing with that is I'm going to make it all new. This is the alternator plug here. I'm going to extend these wires so that runs the alternator, and everything is going to be routed down through here through the side, and it's going to come in through this little hole in the chassis that's down there, where all the normal stuff would come through for the map sensor, the igniter, all that other kind of stuff. As far as the igniter goes, I'm going to mount that there under the fender, along with that little black box that attaches to it as well. I don't know what that's for, but I'm going to put that here. I'm going to use this hole here to route the map sensor and the map sensor plug, which I'm going to put inside the car, and the coil pack harness. I'm going to use that to run through here, because I'm using this amp box, split fire D Spark Max, whatever, and it comes with this jumper harness, kind of like how the Twin Power does. So it's just like this. So one end plugs into the factory plug, and then the other end is what gets to the coil pack. So I'm just going to extend that out to here, so I don't have to actually mess with the factory plug. I don't have to extend the wires for that. Then I got, of course, the water level sensor, water temp, cluster water temp is also going to be extended and run through there as well. So it's going to be a little harness that's going to be sitting on the side there. As far as the starter wire goes, I'm going to make a brand new one of these. I ordered some 0-gauge wire. I'm going to make it out of some 0-gauge wire. I got a brand new 90-degree terminal on the way. I'm going to use that as well. So I'm going to basically remake the whole starter charge harness just better. And then I already have, and this is how I'm going to do it. Since I couldn't find a twin terminal like how a factory one is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 0-gauge and split it in between 2 4-gauge terminals, and that's going to attach to the fuse box. Same thing with this alternator, with the main alternator wire here. I'm going to remake that out of 4-gauge, and then that's going to extend also through the side of the fender here and coming through here and attach there. And then this is also going to be the 4th wire, so all that works out. So also with the rebar, those 2 blocks that are normally back there, I removed. You could definitely use them, because there's like a little gap in there that you could slide stuff through, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to like squeeze everything through that little hole, so I just took the blocks out. They're just rivets. You could use a hammer and just bash them out, but I just drilled the rivets out. They're riveted to fiberglass, so the fiberglass will break before the rivets do. It's pretty easy to remove. Also, the front harness, as far as flipping it over, if you wanted to just do that, you don't have to extend any wires. Everything is long enough. Once you take the brackets, or not the bracket, all those plastic pieces out of that form the harness, everything just reaches, and you don't have to extend anything at all. So you could really do this with almost zero modification to the wires, which is great. Both ground blocks will attach to their factory locations, which is great. All your plugs are as accessible as they need to be. They're actually really long already, so even flipping the harness on this side doesn't harm anything. The horns, my horns are here, tucked in that corner. They use the upper mount bolt for the tow hook. So both horns are there. That's about it. And then for the engine harness, it's gonna come out of its normal spot. It's gonna come out of its normal spot here. Then it's gonna go up and mount there to that little spot, and then it's gonna run across and go into the engine. And that's all the engine harness you're gonna see. Spark plug wires. My coil packs are mounted inside the car, so my plug wires I'm going to move to these two holes here instead of the AC hole where it is. Put the leading and trailing plugs into their own holes, along with the wideband wire that I have running through here, along with the vacuum line for the map sensor. They're going to be split up between those two holes. And I'm going to be putting AC back into this car so I can get that spot back to run the lines, which is going to be great. But that's my wire tuck. It wasn't difficult to do. It's just more figuring out where to put stuff. For right now, these are my oil cooler lines. This engine's coming out, so until I do that, I don't have the space to sit it anywhere. So just leaving it in the car. But still have to trim these lines and figure out how I'm gonna put them so it's the cleanest install it can be. But anyway, as you can see, all this space gets freed up. You know, nothing's there. You can't see the corners of the harness through here anymore. This is my hood latch release cable. There's nothing I can do about that. I tried rerouting, it's just not long enough, and I don't know how to make another one, so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, it frees up a lot of space. It allows you to do a lot more, just a much cleaner looking engine bay. But if you have any questions about anything, let me know. I'll help the best I can if you're looking to do a wire tuck like this. I would say if you were to do this, give yourself about 2 days. 2 full days to do this. You'll need a lot of zip ties, a lot of electrical tape, and some means of chafe protection. Something. You could even use the factory plastic things, just chop those up and then tape those into the harness. Just something so that as you're driving and the harness is doing this, it's not eventually going to chafe its way through and start cutting up wires. You don't want to do that. But yeah, there's more than enough space to flip the front harness and mod the charge harness so it's also out of the way and not mounted in there. So